Joshua would have handled the lines had he been there. Tagliabue watched the black void alongside widen as Mabon drifted from the pier. He inched both shifters ahead and eased the boat out. Red buoy Alpha showed to port. The channel was otherwise clear. Barely glancing at the stars blinking above him, he flipped the toggle switch for his running lights and peered hard into the darkness ahead. Mabon moved slowly through the harbor. Tagliabue had seen and spoken to no one. He guided the beamy craft around errant pot markers using the conning spot. 20 minutes later, they were past the fast-end anchorage and out into open water. The boat took up the swaying of the sea as she churned through the black-green depths toward Westfarrow, where they waited for his arrival. He sat in the wheelhouse, felt his body begin to roll with the ocean rhythms. In his mind, he strove to suffocate the premonition that had intruded on the start of the voyage, a vague feeling that something wasn't right. Why didn't Joshua show at Kronk's? The mate was usually reliable. He could do this deal without Joshua, but he didn't like it. A solo transit at night could be hazardous. He decided not to worry about his absence until he had more data to analyze. He blew out a breath, sat back, and increased speed. Tagliabue checked the corners of the blackness forward, moving his eyes constantly, hoping he could react fast enough in an emergency. His belly rumbled like Mabon's big engines at idle, reminding him of the coffee he'd made at home. The starboard lamp turned the spray green when he tossed the dregs over the leeward side. He stared at the empty cups. He missed Joshua. By now he would have had a fresh pot going. The salty old bastard had plenty of knots in his personal life, but he could sail and was loyal. The two of them often anticipated problems when they talked over contingencies at sea. Joshua could be a contrarian in his opinions, but always agreed with their final decision. Tagliabue needed someone to talk to, but he kept off the radio. It was too early in the morning. Cursing Joshua's absence under his breath, he moved to the navigation table to take a Loran fix. He noted his position on a plastic-covered chart, then stood quietly, eyes closed, feeling and listening as the wind from Mabon's forward motion misted the air around him with seawater. Was the boat's motion just a bit sluggish? Probably not. Probably he was a little keyed up, knowing what he had committed to do, looking for things that could go wrong. He sat back down at the wheel. The steady rumble of the diesels calmed him. Time passed. A different noise stole into his consciousness and sat him up. What was that hum? The waves were still moderate, the gauges steady. This was not a sound he expected to hear on the Mabon. He could not identify it. Pulse quickening, he scanned the cargo behind him with his flashlight and saw nothing amiss. When he recognized that it was the bilge pump at work, Tagliabue released the breath he'd been holding. But why would the pump start? The ocean wasn't coming aboard, not topside, and the bilges were dry yesterday. It had to be a leak below deck. Tagliabue twisted the dial for autopilot and slid down the ladder. His boots hit the cabin deck with a splash. His heart jumped. Mabon was miles from shore and taking on water. He bolted back topside, slowed the engines, pushed the gear shift to neutral. Below again, he slapped the wall light switch. The water sloshing around the interior of the cabin looked rusty when the 12-volt lights bounced off it, but he didn't take the time to analyze that yet. He had to find the leak and plug it. Bending at the hips, he scanned the deck looking for telltale bubbles. Something dark, large and dark, showed along the starboard side forward, almost in the V of the bow. A mattress from one of the bunks had somehow become wedged into the framing of the narrow space. There was movement in the water around the shape. He sloshed closer, realized he was not looking at a mattress. The shape was wrong. There were appendages trailing from it, like broken limbs of a felled tree. Some of it appeared puffy and had risen to the surface. He refused to believe his eyes, pulled the flashlight from his jacket pocket, and trained it on the object. He was standing over a human body, in foul weather gear with a watch cap.